My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. Okay, this demon is monitoring with Tracy Banks, and possible light activity moves inside of the apartment as he walks by. I'm going to get his license plate. He's engaged in a sex offense and terrorism. He's engaged in terrorism on the run. He does not live here. The dog is audible activity. Terrorism by directed light, while his red shirt is a means of red impossible light activity sweeping inside of the apartment. 8 MKT 667. He's going to federal prison. Okay, this is where another demon that lives here. That's Uber. I'm going to prosecute Uber. They're facilitating videos in San Francisco where there's no sun ever, where it's rising and setting here. Uber's a third party, impossible light behind the vehicle. And they're monitoring with the people of the state that are getting deliveries, group stalking with the population coming onto the grounds. 8 MKT 667. And Tracy Banks is again obsessively group stalking and terrorizing with the demon at 55. Coming onto the grounds to engage in a delivery is criminal presence in the path. Fake sun. That's nowhere in Hesperia, where I'm documenting the fake sun at the Holiday Inn. That's the present state of the evidence that's being published online. This demon is engaged in ongoing pacing, and so is the demon in apartment 51. Creating a delivery while Uber is engaged in the pattern of conduct is the malicious engagement in the P.O.C. That's also AVANATH communities group stalking with the population. Ongoing terrorism and harassment that's being documented while you're pacing in the path, and impossible light activity that's occurring, concentrated light, but then you have shade. This is all shade. All right, this is the fake sun, and this is just light that's appearing inside. Uber is crossing path while red light sweeps inside. A demon is opening and closing a microwave. That's light activity, audible activity. She's walking around in the kitchen with multiple shadows. She's in operation of a communication device. That's Title 18. And this is a mentally severe sex offender who's also engaging in the pattern of sexual violence, the pattern, the elements of monitoring, and engineered light. Under the fake sun that's still here after 6 p.m. Group stalking with the Ontario International Airport. That's amplified and audible activity with the population that comes onto the grounds to engage in the P.O.C. with communities whose employees, that's license plate 9ACS 305, engaged in the pattern of conduct, also living in relevant position, fully engaged in that P.O.C. and doing so with malice, okay? This is, again, everything that is stating in engineered light is a threat to your life and your safety, and this is a demon that's pacing inside of the kitchen on a communication device. While your panties are down, while your genitalia is exposed, while you are subject to that P.O.C. And this is a delusional psychopath who's going to federal prison. That's Tracy Banks. And so is the demon in apartment 55. The entities maintaining the elements of monitoring, that's an absolute stranger engaging in the P.O.C. And they're engaging in that sex offense corporately also, while genitalia is exposed, private activities underway in a bathroom, which is a matter of public information that a blood relative is fully engaged in and is facilitating. All right, looking to the left and the right while the elements of monitoring underway is the P.O.C. of a psychopath who's going to federal prison. All right, and doing so with malice. Every time the door is open, no matter how quietly, this demon is running out to engage in elements of monitoring. This is the same bedroom where the fake sun remains after 5 p.m. and the ceiling is filled with engineered light. This is engineered light that you're standing in. Okay, the refrigerator, the microwave, the trash can, the sink, the faucet, ongoing pacing and engineered light. Okay, this is engineered light having nothing to do with the fake sun that's on that side of the apartment building, having nothing to do with the engineered light and the concentrated light that you saw appearing on the floor in the midst of shade. Entirely demonic, impossible light activity, nor is that the sun that's still here 10 hours later. This is P.O.C. documenting the people of the state of California. Those whose name you know and you don't know. Everybody that's on the phone with her is going to federal prison, group stalking with her. Understand that. And they're intentionally doing so. And she acts with malice, absolute disregard. Animalistic conduct will be met with being caged like the animal that you are. This demon in 55 was fully engaged in that animalistic and sexually violent conduct that Alan D. Wapner is necessarily implicated in, knowingly so, while planes are flying over the apartment complex to maintain demonic methods of audible activity while my panties are down, while impossible light activity and the population is engaged in the P.O.C. with the demons whose name you know, while they're just walking by under the fake sun and engineered light, documenting commercial actors such as Uber, which is what AVANATH Communities represents, a commercial actor engaged in the pattern of conduct through the demons who are paying rent, through the demons who are working for the company, and through the demons that are coming onto the real property, engaging in the state's P.O.C. in the specific environment. I just want to make sure I'm documenting that. It's 9:24 a.m. The entity is maintaining this light source where I was living and working at Alvarado Gardens. There is no point in the day where the sun would ever be at this location, nor would it be for the duration of time that I've already shown as early as 7:18 in the morning until 6 p.m. The fake sun remains right here. This is exactly where I stood, where Tracy Banks is on video with the same exact population, Woodside Senior Apartments, group stalking with all the demons that live here while they're walking under the fake sun that's still here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And she's making a big deal about my walking inside. And do you want to know why? Because this demon who's engaged in federal stalking is a psychopath that knows everything that's being documented. And this same malice is directly relevant to her criminal prosecution, and she's going to federal prison in her golden years. It is currently, again, 9:25 a.m. This is P.O.C.
And you don't want to listen.
I'm not well because what?
You're not listening. You don't care about anything.
I don't care about, and what else? Why else am I not well?
Because you think it's okay not to make your payments to let your car go.
And what did I say?
You think that you'll get another one. That's what you said last night. You'll get another one.
And what did I say to make it seem like I don't care?
Why aren't you working, Erica?
What does that have to do with what you were just asking me?
Why aren't you working?
You're the one making statements, so I want you to define, Tracy.
I don't need to
what you?
define
Oh no, no, no!
nothing,
You don't
Erica.
get to make defamatory statements.
You're
because
40-something years old.
I know how old I am.
You're not taking care of
And
yourself.
how am I not taking care of myself?
You're sitting on my couch instead
And what does
of
that
working,
mean?
taking care of yourself.
And what does that mean?
What do you mean?
What does that mean? So you're making statements. So
I'm not
define.
making statements.
Yes, you are.
I'm speaking
Do you
facts.
know what? No, that's not
You're
a fact.
laying on the couch.
A
You're
fact
not taking
is,
care of
a
yourself.
fact
And you're
is,
worried about the sun.
a fact is,
You're
you
worried
are
about the
engaged in a
sun.
very psychotic conduct inside of your own apartment, and you're highly malicious, using words you don't even know the definition of,
Really?
and everything that you're saying
You can't
has
belittle me.
legal ramifications.
No, it
No,
doesn't.
say
No, it doesn't.
you
No, it
can't.
doesn't.
You can't belittle
No, it
me.
doesn't. I'm
You
not
can't belittle me,
belittling
and
you.
everything you're stating right
I'm
now,
trying to get
you're
you
gonna
out.
eat it, minion.
No,
You're
I'm
gonna
not.
eat it.
No, I'm not.
You're gonna eat it. Now
No,
go back
I'm
to
not.
what you're stating, because we're gonna
No,
get
I'm
this
not.
on the record. So why is
Please,
it that
take
I'm
it on
not?
record.
What is it that I'm not taking care of? What I don't?
You're not taking
How am
care
I not
of
taking
you.
care of
You're
myself?
laying on the couch instead of working and taking
What
care of
does this
yourself.
have to do with what you just asked
You
me?
are not well, Erica.
How am I not well?
You're not well.
How am I not well?
Because you can't take care of yourself.
How can I not take care
Why
of myself?
can't you go get a job?
Who said that I can't get a job?
Because you can't.
Who
you'll
said
be
that I can't
filming
get a job?
people.
This is a fact. Who said that I can't get a job?
Why don't you have one?
That's not a question. You made a statement. Define
it's
what
not
you
a
just said.
statement.
Yes, you
I
did.
asked you a
You said you're
question.
speaking facts. So
That's
what
it.
is it? What is
You're
it? What is
laying on my
factual?
couch instead
Go
of
back to what
going
you
and
just
taking
said,
care of
minion.
yourself.
Why can't I get a
My
job?
name is Tracy.
Your
I'm
name
not
is
a
Minion.
minion.
You're a lying minion. So go ahead and repeat what you just said. You're a lying minion. And all you can do is
Really?
laugh.
Really?
because you have no facts.
Yes,
You're
I
a
do.
lying minute, and you're
You're
going
lying
into a
on
federal
my-
penitentiary.
No, I'm
Yes,
not.
you are. You're
Who's
going to
gonna
federal
put me there?
prison.
You?
You're going to federal prison.
You?
And the demons stalking in helicopters over your apartment, honey. You keep laughing because that's all you got, Satan.
You're mentally
I want you to
ill.
keep. That's criminal defamation. Criminal defamation. Go ahead.
You need help.
And what
You
else?
really need
And why
help.
else do I need help?
Because you can't take care of yourself.
And why else? Why
can't take care of yourself.
Based on what?
You are talking about the sun and your shadow. That's not
When
good.
did I talk about that?
Every day.
To who?
You just went out there taking pictures of the sun.
And what is?
And you put it online too.
Oh, what did I put online? What did I tell you about being
All
online?
this stuff that you call yourself being busy.
What did I tell you about being
It
online?
ain't making you no money.
Wait, what did I tell you about being online? What are you talking about?
I see it right there. And
This
other
is
people see
this
it
is
too.
online?
Yeah.
What is this?
And other
What
people see
website
it
is
too.
this? What website is this?
It doesn't matter.
What
But
are you
it's
talking
online.
about? You're talking about
It's
facts. So
online.
you're looking at my
And
phone
you're
right
talking
now.
about the sun.
What website am I
You're
on
talking
right
about
now?
the demons.
What website am I on?
You're talking about. It doesn't matter.
Look
what
at my
website.
phone. You're talking
It
about facts though.
doesn't-
So what
it
website am I
doesn't
on?
even matter.
No. You're
It
looking at a
does not
website?
even
Is this a
matter.
website?
It doesn't matter.
So what website is this?
That's yours.
What website is it?
That's yours.
What website does it say?
That's yours.
This is a website?
That's yours.
This is a website?
You're online.
This what online? What website am I on?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't
What's
matter.
funny?
But you
You think it's funny when
You
you're talking
are
about someone's mental
posting-
illness and you find it funny, right?
Yeah,
You're talking
yeah, I
about
do.
facts, someone's mental illness, and you're laughing.
That's right.
And you're talking about a website. What website is
doesn't
this?
matter.
What website is
It
this?
doesn't matter,
But you're
Erica.
talking
But
about
you're
facts.
posting stuff.
But wait, I just
Again.
want to be clear. You're talking
And
about a
I
website,
remember
right?
when
You're
you
looking
got
at a
out of
website
jail.
right now,
I remember when
and
you
now
got
you're
out of
talking
jail.
about I'm online right now. This is what website is this? When did I tell you about being online? What
Yeah.
website am I on?
It doesn't matter.
No, it does
But
matter.
you're
Where are you
posting
getting
stuff
that
online.
information? Where that I'm online? Where did you get that from, Tracy?
You.
When did I tell you about that? When
You.
do we talk about online conduct? Whenever. When your Facebook, right? You and your boyfriend and your clubbing in your 60s is what's online. When do I talk to you about internet conduct or anything on social media? When do we have conversations about
You
that?
are posting things.
Who told you that?
I don't need anybody to tell me.
Oh, you're a psychic?
No, I
Oh,
can see
like
it.
you're
I
also
can
going to
look it
tell
up.
me about how my car's going to be, when it's going to be taken to, right? Because they
didn't
have
see
my
it.
address and that's their basis of knowledge regarding
No,
where
if
I'm
you
at.
don't make payments,
Right, and we're getting
I'm
into
having
now
a
mental. Oh
conversation
no,
with
you
the
want to
crazy
walk away
person.
with the crazy person?
Yeah,
This is
literally.
all audible
Yeah.
activity, relevant position. What else?
You act as though you don't have any responsibility.
And how do I act like that? When you're telling me like a psychic, you know what I'm doing
You
online,
said
right?
last
You know what I'm doing
night.
online
You
though,
said
right?
last night you have
No.
nothing you
Don't
can
change the subject.
Yeah.
Listen, Satan.
it's okay.
Don't change the
Don't be
subject.
surprised.
Your facts,
I'm
are based on what? What's going on online? What am I doing online? But you just made a statement, and you and your facts, but you don't have any. How do you know what's online when you're looking at my phone screen? You knew that I was taking pictures of the janitor outside. What made you think that? What made you think that?
Because I heard you talking to her.
And what did I say?
Who are you?
No, I did not say that. You did not hear me say, who am I? You're lying. And that's audible activity creation by a demon-possessed liar. Just like I'm on the internet online.
I didn't get a notice on my door because your ass.
That's crossing path, opening the front door with engineered light to monitor. That's a psychopath. And this is all criminal defamation. She's going to federal prison. Okay? Making statements about what's going to happen to the car, right? By the people of the state. And making statements about, factual statements about someone's mental state, right? Someone's mental state? No. You made these statements about my mental state, going from my car payments to my mental state. And what else?
That's right.
What else?
That's right.
And what else?
You're not
That
well.
I'm my online content and I'm not
You're talking
well.
about your shadow. You talk about the sun. You talk about other people being demons. That's not you, Erica. It's
Who
not.
is that?
That's not,
Who
it's
is it?
you.
And I'm putting it
That's
online,
not
right? I'm putting it online?
You are.
Where am I putting it online? Where are you looking at it online? How do you know that it's online? Oh, okay. She's laughing and walking out while she's making admissions regarding what I'm doing on my phone, which again, no person outside of knowledge of what's being documented on a phone, on a communication device, in violation of Title 18, is going to make such admissions. Understand that criminally defamatory conduct is what the state is monitoring you to. It's also that which the entity uses to engage in kidnapping while their group stalking you. That's a demon engaging in gaslighting, by the way. Who has the absence? There's the absence of any facts. Making a bunch of unsubstantiated statements is audible activity. It's also intended to harass and terrorize. While the demon knows that I'm documenting the neighborhood that's engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is what I'm capturing screenshots of while this demon enters into the living room to talk about my car payments, which she has never helped me with, has not made one car payment, and I maintain my ability to pay my car and every other bill, okay, all of my bills. And the entity is, and that's what she represents as an entity, a malicious actor and an unintelligent one who has no facts and cannot support any of the statements that she made, which is for the criminal monitoring purposes of the state. This is the same entity that's engaging in kidnapping with the Ontario Police Department inside of the apartment, where a demon knows that the impossible light activity is absolutely psychotic and weird, and uses that demonic behavior that they engage in to criminally defame the target individual that's aware of it and documents it. Making admissions regarding my online conduct, which we've never had a conversation of, is an admission by the entity that's engaged in Title 18, Section 2261A, federal stalking. While she's looking at my phone, that includes a Samsung document, a PDF Word document, and she's making psychic predictions about what I'm doing on the internet when there's no conversation or any indication about what's going on the internet. And while she's pressed about these statements that she's making that have no support, while she's looking at my phone screen talking about being online, I took a screenshot and you'll see exactly what she's looking at on my phone while she's stating that I'm on the internet, which is a fact. I'm not on the internet. And she also is making statements that are just serving to monitor. And also, let me be clear, a demon wants to agitate and engage in what is creating a sense of frustration to argue, okay? So this is for not only monitoring, but failing to think that that falsely depicts the target individual who is subject to the criminal pattern of conduct. I need you to understand the mentally deranged psychopath who is Tracy Banks, a violent sex offender, who is obsessed with my genitalia, who is entirely engaged in demonic and psychotic pacing in her apartment with the demon in apartment 55, monitoring on my phone, making admissions about her knowledge regarding what's going on my phone, and doing so while I'm silently in operation of my phone on the couch. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. The entity is doing so with the criminal purpose to harass and terrorize as an entity, and it also is making threats regarding what's going to happen to my vehicle. Remember, the entity that's engaging in what is receiving your payments, the entity who's in Montclair, who is engaged in the pattern of conduct, Nissan in Montclair, the light source and this engineered light is on the online where the entity is engaged in the P.O.C. This is the same entity she's referencing, the people. While she's speaking about payments to my car that I never asked her about, never spoke to her about, and has never helped me with. All right, and she's making statements about the mental state of the one whom she is targeting, making admissions about what's going on my phone, and having the absence of any facts to support it. She is currently engaging in the pattern of conduct, and everything that she is stating in concert with who's on the phone. That's Eric Corey Spencer, right? You're holding your phone up and Eric's on the phone? That's audible activity? Oh, it's your Uncle Andre in Philadelphia. That's audible activity. That's a federal stalking in violation of Title 18 as well. This is relevant to the elements of monitoring with malice and doing so with the specific intent to harass and terrorize, while again engaging in criminal defamation. So I want to make sure that that's clear. It's currently 10:18 a.m. and this same third party who is in Philadelphia has been engaged in federal stalking, as I documented it on my phone, which has been subject to monitoring. So I want to be clear. This is the same malicious conduct. Holding up her phone is the elements of monitoring in the specific environment, and doing so, you're seeing the light source over her at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're seeing the light source over her at the same venue at 8 o'clock in the morning, not the natural environment. Using the communication device is her engagement with the people of the state to monitor. Calling one of her family members is supposed to intimidate me and silence me. I want to make sure that you're understanding that, and this is the demonic P.O.C. Criminal defamation is the basis of federal prison. She is going to federal prison. It's 10:18 a.m. and everybody on the communication device monitoring with her will be subject to that same prosecution. The entity is engaged in what is criminal defamation with her. She's not speaking as an individual. She's speaking as an entity, and this is a desperate demon who resorts to criminal defamation upon being frustrated by being heavily documented, which is the same pattern of conduct that she's under the fake sun at all hours of the day for a term of years, including as I relocated to LA. The evidence that Tracy Banks is surrounded by is the pattern of conduct that she's engaging in today, because there's no sun over Alvarado Gardens while she's engaged in criminal defamation. That is the substance of her audible activity, is defamatory in nature. It is also on its face factually unsupported, while she is merely a frustrated demon who's engaging in conduct that she's going to federal prison for. Calling her brother in Philadelphia is going to put that elderly senior citizen in federal prison while he's engaged in criminal conduct, and knowingly so. He's not innocently doing so. He's doing so maliciously. Calling her brother is something that she thinks the entity intends to, again, harass and intimidate you. Calling your uncle is supposed to guilt trip you out of documenting, and defaming with a family member is supposed to silence you. These are means of harassment and what is also defamation while they're together, referencing your mental state. This is gaslighting by a bunch of demons who are group stalking you. They're the ones under the fake sun. They're the ones in the engineer light. They're the ones pacing around you as a population, both whose names you know and don't know. And that's because these sex offenders are hostile because you're exposing them. And I want to be clear, this demon in 55 is still pacing in real time, while this demon on her phone calling her brother, implicating him in the pattern of conduct, which, by the way, he was engaged in the P.O.C. when I was in this apartment with Tracy in 2023, calling on the phone and engaging in Bible studies online, including when I was living in LA. He was engaged in the pattern of conduct then, and he is now, while this demon calls him on the phone, which is not stopping the ongoing documentation, and he's going to be prosecuted, him and his wife, in Philadelphia. While they're across state lines engaging in criminal conduct, federal stalking is what's underway, while she uses the phone to engage in what is also harassment and terrorism by the entity, and also to engage in criminal defamation while she's pacing in and out of her bedroom, and engineer light fills this apartment. Okay, the entity referencing your mind state while the demonic pattern of conduct is underway. The entity engaging in what is clearly unintelligent and unsupported conduct, which is audible activity. Her conversation is serving to monitor while she is not even intelligent enough to follow through and provide evidence for what's coming out of her face, while she is a woefully unprepared, demon-possessed, third-party group stalker who's going in a cage where she belongs. So I just want to make sure that I document that. That is what is so laughable about the population who was group stalking you. The state is acting through such unintelligent minions, and these are the ones that are getting on the news when they're murdered, when the target individuals in this country are murdered, they lose their lives, they're kidnapped, and the entity is criminally defaming that target individual. It's the likes of Tracy Banks and her family members who she implicates in that criminal system when they are falsely criminally defaming that targeted individual, because that's what the entity is doing right now while they fail to sacrifice me. This is what an entity is doing while she is, as a matter of fact, you can look at the videos that are already shared in the specific environment, in an environment where the entity is stalking in helicopters, in an environment where the entity is stalking in commercial planes over a senior citizen complex with a population, in an environment that is irreconcilable with anything that is any sort of iteration of naturally occurring. This is a demon. This is, again, coming out of this, the face of this demon. That's why I referenced her as what she is. This is Satan, and I'm not going to mince words. So she goes, I just want to be clear, what was the intent at the outset? Speaking about my car payments, which are none of her business, which she has no interest in anything regarding my well-being. That's why she's acting with the state, conspiring to murder and kidnap me, monitoring me through her audible activity creation, which she used because she knows I'm capturing screenshots of the entire neighborhood who acted with that demon in the Uber vehicle, the white Camry, who's group stalking as the state of California. So engaging in stalking with audible activity by coming out and talking about something that she thinks is going to be a distraction, and it's not, and she immediately jumps from making car payments that she ostensibly wants to help with to talking about my mind state and making all manner of unsupported audible activity creation, nonetheless, making all manner of unsupported statements regarding my mental illness, and she hasn't even graduated any college course ever in her life. Not that you need to in order to recognize a psychopath, which is one who is engaging in the elements of monitoring and trying to gaslight you, while the demon is upstairs in 55 pacing all around to all this audible activity, and the fake son is over her apartment. Using her communication devices and means of malice, her son, Eric Corey Spencer, is going to federal prison. She group stalks with him while engaging in the elements of monitoring. That's relevant to psychological torture while your family, your blood relatives are targeting you with the state. She engages in this with her boyfriend, Daryl Mandy, who lives in Inglewood, documented group stalker. This is an entity that's relevant. It's relevant to psychological torture while those who are blood related to you and those who you know by name are engaging in targeting you to murder and kidnap you with the state, and they're going to federal prison for that. She does so, as you see, with her blood family members. His name is Andrew. Andre Petty, I believe. He's in Philadelphia. Deborah and Andrew Petty, they're also friends online. Everything that she's doing is already a matter. The federal government is aware of what she does, what she's doing, and who she's doing it with. And I just want to make sure that this third party is not the first time engaging in that. He was monitoring me through the malicious means of having a Bible study before, through the malicious means of calling me and checking on me and encouraging me, while the entity was group stalking then and group stalking now, while she is referencing him, calling him on the phone while he's engaged in audible activity creation. By him calling himself a Christian is no less criminal. It's the malicious pattern of conduct. It's audible activity in the engineered light under the fake sun, while the demon of 55 is pacing around to the voice of her brother, who is not going to intimidate me out of documenting them, nor is her criminally defaming audible activity going to be missed. Both of them are subject to federal prison. And whether you're on a walker, Whether you need help breathing, you will be going to federal prison for it. This is a psychopath who laughs while she's being prosecuted and she's going to federal prison. That's a mentally deranged, demon-possessed third party. The one who's laughing at their inevitable demise and referencing the mind state, the mental state of another while you're engaged in very psychotic, sexually violent, and deranged criminal conduct, which is a matter of evidence. Facts that exist contrary to the facts that she does not have to support her defamatory statements. Okay, I just want to make sure that you're understanding malice. That's what I'm getting to right now. This is what the state is doing, acting through the population. It's 10:25 a.m. in the specific environment. The entity is maintaining a light source, as I documented, at 10:30 in the morning at 9750 Key Point, the Holiday Inn in Hesperia, California. The fake sun is documented right over my head at the entrance of that Holiday Inn at 10:30 in the morning. The entity has maintained the light source as AVANATH Communities is group stalking. This demon is beating the staircase with a broom at the moment that I'm documenting Alan D. WAPNER. That's a demon engaged in the same pattern of conduct. Knowledge of what you're documenting on a communication device, and with simultaneity to that documentation being created on a phone while this demon is making psychic predictions about what I'm doing on the internet, when we've never had a conversation about my documentation of the psychopath is going to federal prison. I'm not talking to her about the documentation, just like she's not talking to me about the fact that she's a witchcraft, she engages in witchcraft and engages in the demonic pattern of conduct with the state. She's not talking about that either. She's engaging in criminal defamation, which is serving to monitor another, and she's going to federal prison based on the character of that criminal conduct and the malice and impunity with which she engages in it. A delusional psychopath laughs, which is what the personality of Satan exhibits when they have no facts, when they have nothing else to do other than seek to and fail at persuading another besides themselves that they have nothing intelligent to say or respond to when you ask them questions regarding any substantiated statements, which is exactly what you just heard while this demon is monitoring me and is hostile because I'm documenting the fact that she's monitoring me and doing so through demonic methods and is not helping the neighborhood. Everything that you just heard, the entire population is going to be prosecuted for criminal defamation as an entity engaging in that pattern of conduct because they're a bunch of hostile demons engaged in federal stalking, and they engage in more criminal conduct the more that you document, which is the public safety concern. The sex offenders who are going around right now without that appropriate label on them, no criminal records, such as the local Uber driver who's coming into the onto the grounds to engage in the pattern of conduct. And who am I referencing again? This demon who I'm documenting, license 8MKT667. He's going to federal prison based on the fact that I'm documenting him, and the entity engages in criminally defaming you, which is serving. I want to be clear. The entity engages in kidnapping based on criminal defamation. They engage in criminal summoning, calling the fire departments, calling the police departments, manufacturing information to have you arrested, which is a kidnapping while they're group stalking you. They're kidnapping as one entity. By the way, Tracy Banks has engaged in this for a prolonged period of time, for years. She's engaging in the same exact, long, overly exhaustive pattern of conduct because she has no other way to engage in it. This is why, and it is demonstrative as to why everyone else related to her and engaged in that is going to federal prison. Calling her brother on the phone in Philadelphia is audible activity and malice, and it's not intimidating me from seeking to prosecute her and speak the truth regarding what Satan is doing and who Satan is using to do it. Okay, she's going to be subject to regular mental examinations, and every family member, every boyfriend, every buddy that she wants to call online, her phone records are revealing the criminal pattern of conduct while she's pacing all around me, while the fake sun remains over her apartment, while all manner of engineer light is cycling all throughout the day, which is already sitting on the record within the P.O.C. Not just in this apartment, but while I lived and worked at Alvarado Gardens, while I remain at every hotel as I've documented the P.O.C. This is all the evidence that this unintelligent, demon-possessed group stalker, who is not a mother, she is a delusional psychopath, and she will be spending the rest of her life in federal prison. That is where she's going to remain. And doing so and laughing about it is showing her mental illness. It's not the demonstration of anyone that is innocent or ignorant. That is the personality defect of the mentally ill that are walking around engaging in terrorism in the state of California. That's the mental illness of those that are stalking in helicopters. That's the mental illness of those that are stalking over this apartment complex in commercial planes. That's the mental illness of those that are the chief of police. That's a demon over the Ontario Police Department group stalking with her. The president over the Ontario International Airport. I'm referencing Mike Lorenz over the Ontario Police, and I'm referencing Alan D. WAPNER over the Ontario International Airport. That's the same mental illness. That's the same public safety concern. That's the same condition of the malicious entity that will resort to falsely and engage in unsubstantiated statements while they are hostile to your documentation. Jumping from, I want to be clear, making payments on your vehicle to making unsupported statements about one's mental illness when the entity is engaging in what is highly malicious criminal conduct, showing their mental illness as opposed to that targeted individual. This is a mentally ill psychopath that's engaging in pacing in her apartment and engaging in conversation with her blood relatives, all of whom are engaged in that P.O.C. with her. So I want to be clear. I want to make sure that I'm referencing that. Her phone records is 10:29 a.m. And this is, again, the malice of a demon-possessed population who acts in concert. The demon in apartment 55, the same exact condition as I'm documenting, second by second, minute by minute, hour by hour. The demon is never taking a break from engaging in monitoring, and is doing so with this psychopath who has lost her control and composure, and is speaking to the ongoing seething malice that she is failing at trying to hide on an ongoing basis while she's group stalking with her blood relatives. So I want to be clear. This is what an entity is engaging in when they're engaging in that pattern of conduct, and that's representing the threat to your life, to your safety, and to your well-being while they're engaging in that. Referencing the inability to maintain employment, that's criminal defamation reference, and it's also false. The entity engaging in what is an inability to take care of yourself, this is all presumptuous, and nothing that she stated provided any support. She's just throwing out unsubstantiated comments. And what is your reasoning for this, Satan? She starts laughing. I just want you to understand that this is somebody that clearly is no intellectual opponent, but I also want to be clear, this is a demon that's just making, and that's what Satan does. He just throws things at the wall to see whatever sticks. This is audible activity creation, and this is malice by one who was blood related. And she has been engaged in this pattern of conduct trying to sacrifice me since I was a child. It is manifested into a criminal pattern of conduct with the state of California that's engaging in this conduct throughout the country. And it's shown through the unnatural environment that surrounds. For example, there's no sun in Philadelphia where Andrew Petty is present, while it's remaining over Woodsides in your apartments all day long. So a demon that's referencing, oh, you're talking about your shadow, and you're talking about the sun, and you're taking pictures of the sun, which by itself, taking a picture of a sun is not indicative of anybody's mental state. This is a demon that's engaging in what is defamation while they know exactly the substance of the evidence that you're capturing, while it's demonic, and a demon is trying to criticize it and failing at it. She is pacing back and forth, showing her mental illness. This is a delusional psychopath who's going to be caged for the rest of her life. She's not getting out of federal prison. And she's engaged in repeated acts of kidnapping with the same entity, stalking over her apartment in helicopters, engaged in ongoing criminal conduct, and the entity is engaging in what is laughing while you want to reference. I just want to be clear, just like I stated, if an entity is referencing a mental illness of their child, it is not something that is laughable. It's not something that you're going to find entertaining. It's not something that you're going to call a family member and then engage laughing with them. This is the demon-possessed group stalker who is going to federal prison, who is throwing out statements to monitor and also harass and terrorize and psychologically torture. That's the entity's P.O.C. And she's doing it through her speech, which is criminal conduct. And she's doing it also with blood relatives. And this old man in Philadelphia, he will be prosecuted like any other demon coming onto the grounds delivering Uber via Uber. And that's what I documented. Again, this license plate, 8MKT667, he is who is being documented. This is an Asian male. I believe it's an Asian male, perhaps a Latino, but I would surmise an Asian male with a red t-shirt. He gets into the white Camry. Again, his license is 8MKT667, a white Toyota Camry. He's group stalking, parked in one of the residence parking spaces, coming from apartment number 41, which is AVANATH Capital Management LLC's employee, group stalking at the facilitating venue in the specific environment amongst engineered light, and the demon that's trying to critique or speak to the mental state of the targeted individual when the entity that is targeting you is engaged in all manner of psychotic P.O.C. So this is the entity that's crossing path with this license plate. He walks by the apartment, engineer light sweeps through all of the apartment, red colored engineer light, and he has on a red t-shirt. When you're walking by under a sun, the color of whatever you're wearing does not move inside of the apartment. This is occurring while I'm looking at the face of this demon who is harassing because I'm merely opening up the front door, not talking to anyone. Why am I the focus of everything? Because she's group stalking, and she's also trying to engage in what is harassing me. This is badgering me because I'm engaging in what if Eric Spencer engaged in walking outside for no reason, having said nothing, it's not an issue, but because the entity is monitoring me and because I'm documenting it, it's a big issue. Even when I'm inaudibly opening the front door, this demon that's monitoring while my panties are down is aware of what I'm doing, and you're always seeing her face peeping out of the door in relevant position because she's obsessively stalking in the path. She's maintaining elements of monitoring, and you're looking at the impossible light activity inside of her apartment. While I'm documenting, again, the people of the state license 8 Mary Karen Thomas 667, who is going to federal prison. He's engaging in terrorism via directed light. Directed light is already an established fact. The body of evidence is already published online, which the people of the state have admitted that they're aware of, and I've never had a conversation with this demon about what's going on online while she's looking at my phone and I'm not on the internet, which I took a screenshot of, while this demon is monitoring with her defamatory audible activity creation while she's sitting in front of me harassing and terrorizing as an entity, admitting, in other words, that she's monitoring on the internet, aware of what it is that I'm doing as I'm doing it. Her making false statements about the nature of what I'm doing because I'm not on the internet, in other words. I'm looking at the PDF of the WSA-the People, and I'm looking at an image that was taken. The fact that she's stating that I'm online right now is not speaking to the fact that she's ignorant about what I'm actually doing online. It is both an admission, and it's also the ignorant and unintelligent conduct of one that is speaking to. In other words, it's presumptuous, but this demon knows exactly what I'm doing online. The demons are engaged in surveillance on the internet, and it is criminal conduct monitoring on communication devices in violation of Title 18, and it is not something that is speaking to actual ignorance about what I'm doing literally on the internet, as she makes a factually untrue statement, because I'm not technically on the internet while I'm using my camera and my Samsung Notes app, okay? But they are monitoring on the phone, and everything that's on the internet is public information, and she is admitting that while she is referencing what is online, and we don't have any conversations about it ever. I have not been living with her. I have not been working anywhere in San Bernardino County, and the entity which she represents is aware of everything that's being documented. That's why they're flying over my head, over this apartment in helicopters at the same time I begin downloading videos and publishing them onto the internet. That's the demon that's engaging in criminally defamatory audible activity creation, laughing about the mental illness of her daughter that she would like to suggest that she cares about, while she's acting with the state, conspiring to murder and or kidnap me. That's why you're group stalking. You are a hostile, demon-possessed group stalker who is monitoring with the demon in apartment 55 right above, who is doing so with knowledge of when I'm asleep, when I'm awake, when my panties are down, the sex offenders that are group stalking, aware of everything that's going online, and she makes a statement that is unsupported on its face, despite the fact that I'm not technically on the internet, but I'm on my phone, and she's admitting to knowledge about what I'm doing online, however. But she's looking at my phone screen. I just want to be clear. Do not be distracted by the fact that she stated that I'm online, even though I'm not technically online that second. I'm using phone apps, but she's made an admission about what's occurring online regarding what it is that I'm documenting. She's making all sorts of statements, and we don't have any conversations about it. She goes about like the people of the state do, like nothing's going on, like nobody is monitoring, nobody hears the helicopters, nobody sees all the helicopters flying over the apartment buildings, nobody notices the sun that remains over the address all day long, a supernatural occurrence, nobody hears the commercial planes flying over repeatedly all day long over the property, no one notices any of that, nobody notices the impossible light activity, all manner of this engineered light, while she is group stalking me, targeting. We don't have a conversation about it. I document her and she group stalks me. That's the relationship of the demons who are secretly and maliciously targeting you, and they're not supposed to be admitting knowledge of even awareness of what you're doing. This is a psychopath, a delusional one who has become unhinged, and she can't control herself, and everything that's coming out of her face are admissions against the entire entity. They're monitoring online, and she's engaged in what is the admission of statements regarding knowledge about what's being published on the internet outside of any conversations that have been had or any reasonable notice outside of federal stalking criminal activity about what's being published on the internet, which, by the way, should be no moment's pause for any innocent bystander regarding taking a picture of the sun. Taking a picture of the sun, or taking a picture, or even just stepping outside. And she's making unsupported and false statements about what was stated to the janitor. And I want to be clear, that's also relevant to a threat by the entity. Though that's the same entity that engages in conspiring together. I went outside, I threatened the janitor, and then you've got a restraining order against you. Then they're summoning the police. Then they're engaging in what is a kidnapping. And then they're making statements and engaging in a fictitious prosecution, seeking to defame you and kidnap you in a mental facility. It literally escalates just like that. Everything that the entity is stating is relevant to the prosecution of the entire state. The entire neighborhood is being documented and prosecuted for the defamatory conduct coming out of this dog's mouth who has no intelligence regarding everything in the criminal nature of what she's stating as she states it. This is the conduct of the unintelligent demons who are group stalking on behalf of the state. Any lowlife with no education is engaging in very severely serious criminal conduct, and every word is going to be used against them. They're acting as an entity together with malice. All right, and it's doing so with knowledge about what you're doing and pacing all around inside of her apartment in an engineered environment with her phone. The person who's on the phone is going to be prosecuted with them, and her phone records are going to be used against the entity to prosecute her. That's speaking to what is a psychotic criminal, and doing so with the people of the state. And this is because I'm documenting the rest of the neighborhood, and I will continue to document them as they are group stalking with the rest of the people of the state. They represent the state of California. who are in a specific environment where the entity is maintaining a light source. It's currently 10:39 a.m. and the entity is maintaining a light source. As I'm documenting online, the entity is keeping the fake sun over the entrance of the Holiday Inn at what is the 9750 key point. And there is no natural environment where this entity is maintaining such means of the elements of monitoring in that specific environment. That includes the light source that's directly over that hotel rising and setting. And now it's over Woodside Senior Apartments rising and setting. So I just want to be clear on that. Everything that the entity is setting is relevant with regard to malice, and this is a psychopath who is going to be subject to mental examinations, and every criminally defamatory that's relevant to malice, which is you go to federal prison automatically. I've been documenting her engaging in group stalking with the Ontario police, who are going to federal prison with her for years, and the malice with which she engaged in that, repeated acts of kidnapping and criminal defamation, is also why she's going to federal prison. And the people of the state engaged in criminal summoning with her, including these here at Woodside Senior Apartments, are going to federal prison. Okay, so the entity is engaging in what is ongoing pacing from her bedroom to the kitchen, from the trash can to the faucet, on her communication device. Title 18 conduct is relevant to surveillance for the criminal purposes of monitoring you, maintaining the elements of monitoring. So including a communication device is what I advocate with regard to utilizing Title 18 to prosecute the people that's engaging in surveillance online via communication devices. Nonetheless, the entity is engaged in this pattern of conduct and doing so while this demon in 55 is pacing, as I'm documenting on an ongoing basis on the document entitled WSA-The People. This demon is coming out, monitoring what it is that I'm taking screenshots of. This is what initiates her coming out and jumping from subject of what is my car payments, which are none of her concern, which I did not ask her about, and which I do not need her help, and nor have I ever needed her help. She's the one that has crappy credit. I have always had better credit than her. She didn't finance my education. I paid for my own college degree. I paid for my own law education. She did not aid in any of that. She didn't finance any of that, nor did she ever have the credit to, and I don't need her assistance paying my car payment now. It's not based on an inability to care for myself or remain employed as a professionally trained lawyer. She did not even pay or assist or aid in any of these. This is the entity that's engaged in this pattern of conduct and is monitoring you on the job, monitoring you as you're clearly seeing where you live, where you remain, and where you travel, as I've shown you the P.O.C, and then seeking to criminally defame you as you document them. That is the ultimate gaslighting. That's relevant to psychological torture by the entity. Calling her family members who are group stalking with her, and that's supposed to silence you and intimidate you and make you think, okay, the ordinary target individual is bullied into thinking that there's something wrong with what you're doing because you're exposing the entity who you're blood related to, who's group stalking you. Okay, let me be clear. All these demons in her family are fully engaged in the P.O.C. Her son's going to federal prison. Her and her, if that's even her boyfriend, Daryl Mandy's going to federal prison. Her brother, her sister, whoever she wants to call, they're all going to federal prison. And she finds it funny. She finds it funny when she's referencing in a criminal manner to monitor, to harass and intimidate and terrorize and defame as an entity the mind state of her daughter, who she's concerned. If she's actually concerned about the mental state of your daughter, then you're not going to find it laughable. You're not going to call your family members and laugh about it. I just want to be clear. This is a demon-possessed person. I want to be clear. This is a witch who secretly practices witchcraft. Federal group stalking and monitoring is witchcraft. It's demonic activity. I want to be clear. And this is what an entity is doing while they're seeking to sacrifice you. She failed in this a long time ago, and there's years of evidence showing her criminal engagement in this. And this level of mental illness is shared by every chief of police, every demon-possessed police officer, the fire departments, the demon that is over the Ontario International Airport, the population who is exhibiting that, living in apartment 55, the demon inside of this apartment 51, the demons coming onto the grounds, delivering via Uber, the same exact condition. These are demons, very malicious and unintelligent even, while they try to throw anything at the wall that will stick. And as you press in and ask for information to support the statements that they are making, they don't have it. Okay? Resorting to laughing, resorting to call a family member, resorting to defame you with that family member is nothing other than audible activity, light activity, and relevant positioning in the specific environment. So I want to make sure that you're aware of that. This is relevant to the prosecution. Remember, systematic facilitation, in the same way that your coworkers, your employer group stalking you, is federal prison. It's the same thing with those who you know personally. This is the state engaging in what is an intolerable means of facilitation. And the entity is literally in the engineered environment, group stalking with the state, and she is pacing and around on her communication device, monitoring in real time, and using criminal defamation as a means of audible activity, which is the basis of federal prison. Doing so by the as an entity or through the entity whose name you know is systematic facilitation, and you are subject to federal prison for that. So I just want to make sure that I'm referencing and speaking to what you just heard. That's malice by the people. Okay, the government that every single city. I went to San Diego. in Los Angeles. I went to Kern County. I went to Las Vegas, Nevada. Okay, I was in Hesperia, which is San Bernardino County as well. I have documented the pattern of conduct already in Riverside. I have documented the P.O.C. as I am going from county to county, in other words. In Sherman Oaks, there's no sun that's going to be over the Sherman Oaks Courtyard by Marriott, as I documented at 10:33 in the morning, and it's remaining over Tracy Banks' apartment, who resorts to calling her family members because that makes her feel more comfortable while she engages in what's supposed to be some supported method of defaming you because a demon-possessed group stalking family member joins in on the phone conversation. They're both going to federal prison. And it does not matter how old or decrepit they are. It doesn't matter how gray they are. This is the malice of the entity that seeks to murder and kidnap you with the entity with their defamatory statements. And based on that rapid escalation of audible activity of malice of the entity that's monitoring you, everything that's happening inside of this apartment is public information. That's how Jay Burnett of the Ontario Police Department can pull out his communication device and replay on his phone while I was subject to a kidnapping upon criminal summoning by the same exact demon in 2019. And he is playing back the audible activity of an argument that occurred in her apartment before this demon even called the police, which was a criminal act. Okay, that's how Jay Burnett is able to pull out his phone and play back an argument which is supposed to be private, and it's not. But the entity that's monitoring you and defaming you through that audible activity is going to federal prison. That's this demon here, Tracy Banks, calling her brother in Philadelphia, which is a basis of federal prison. And he likes to use referencing Bible scriptures and talking about Jesus and giving a Bible study over the phone to monitor. It's called malice. And doing so with the demon-possessed group stalker is showing the veracity of that faith that they like to claim, okay? You are known by the fruits, not by what you claim or what you assert. And if that was not a demon, he wouldn't be monitoring with this demon right now in relevant position on the phone. That's how you know the truth of what this demon would like to continue. But it doesn't matter. Claiming that you're a demon or you're not a demon is not relevant to the prosecution. He's engaged in the elements of monitoring, and he will be prosecuted while he's in Philadelphia group stalking with Tracy Banks on her phone. It is currently, again, 10:46 a.m. It is October 3rd, 2024. This is relevant to the prosecution of the people of the state, and I'm going to include the video that I just captured, and you will hear the narration. The video will be published online, but the entity is engaging in what is an ongoing admission regarding what I'm doing on the internet when I'm not even on the internet, and referencing immediately going from making my car payments and then making unsubstantiated statements about one's ability to care for themselves, and ability, talking about my job. We've never had a conversation about what happened with my job. The feds know that the entity was monitoring me at my job, and so was this demon. She's monitoring now, and she's a part of the same entity that was monitoring in LA. And this is the entity that's making defamatory statements with knowledge of that, with knowledge of what was documented, admitting that they're monitoring, aware of what's on the internet, while they make such inflammatory, such bombastic, and such openly defamatory statements. Understand that. She's going to federal prison, and those admissions are against the entity. The state knows exactly what's being documented while they're keeping you under surveillance. It is currently, again, October 3rd, 2024. It's 10:47 a.m. and this is P.O.C. All right, this is who 55 and Tracy Banks is group stalking with. She's going to federal prison. Remember her engaging in criminal defamation? This is the state that's engaged in criminal defamation with her. The demon with license plate 5WUB715 is pacing, amplifying that activity, and the Ontario Police Department's been engaged in group stalking all day long, including while I'm documenting evidence and publishing it onto YouTube, which they're fully engaged in criminally monitoring in violation of Title 18. This is the pattern of conduct that I'm documenting by AVANATH communities. This entire neighborhood's engaged in the P.O.C. This is Engineer Light. That's Tracy monitoring while she comes and closes the door. And you know that because of Engineer Light that's on the wall. Here on the wall. There on the wall. Here. This is impossible light activity. That's speaking to the intent to cross path, and it's amplified. The ongoing earthquake-like conduct while you're criminally monitoring. The earthquake-like conduct while this demon of 55 is going to federal prison. I want to be clear, the demons of 52 are going to federal prison. The demon of 56 is going to federal prison. The demon that lives in this apartment is going to federal prison. The employees that live in 41 are going to federal prison. The demons that are living on the side, this is the immediate environment. They use 55 to maintain ongoing amplification. My shadow is both on the ground and upright on the walls. That's the Ontario Police. Those are demons stalking in helicopter. And so is Tracy Banks, who you heard engaging in what is criminal defamation. That's the audible activity creation to criminally monitor you on behalf of the state, who is engaging in state surveillance with the population of demons, who are also engaged in federal stalking. And everything that came out of the face of this demon who's going to federal prison inside of this apartment where the fake sun is rising and setting here. That's also how you know that the Ontario Police and Mike LORENZ are all demon possessed. That's grounds of disbanding, and every single last demon stalking in helicopters is going to federal prison. Okay, that's information that's going to be produced. It's not going to remain a mystery, and they're going for years. Okay, the entity's doing that while they're engaging in what is the pattern. Obstruction of justice is built into the pattern. Not only are they group stalking, maintaining the criminal elements of monitoring, they're doing it in the specific environment. They're also doing it while federal stalking in violation of Title 18 remains underway. This is ongoing demonic pacing. And remember, the entity is flying over a senior citizen complex, 55 plus, outside of zoning provisions, doing so 24 hours a day. They also do so in a manner amplified and sensational activity, because the demons are hostile with what they're monitoring, engaging in Title 18 conduct. That's the intent to terrorize, threaten, psychologically torture, and harass as an entity. And Mike LORENZ does not have a job. No sex offending, psychopathic, group stalking demon, just like in 55, just like in 51, just like these demons here group stalking. Somebody stalking in a helicopter is a demon-possessed psychopath. They have no business with law enforcement. So the heliport, the law enforcement, the demons in Ontario that are working for the Ontario Police Department, their jobs are done, and you have a large percentage of them who are all going to federal prison. It is currently 9:22 p.m. while the entity is keeping me under surveillance on the internet. So you can see on YouTube the wealth of evidence that was published today. The entity engaged in what is terrorism by helicopter, as I was documenting the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, who was simultaneously being prosecuted and incriminated while they terrorized me because I'm publishing evidence of their criminal conduct about them online. Which those demons that just flew over my head while I'm inside of her apartment, she engaged in criminal conduct, criminal defamation with that state actor, and that's why she's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C. It is currently 9:23, where the demon, again, she's going to federal prison. This is what I'm documenting on an ongoing basis. And AVANATH Communities is engaging in the same exact terrorism as an entity. They're engaging in what is ongoing criminal obstruction of justice, and they're also engaged in psychological torture as an entity, and they will be civilly and criminally prosecuted. While all of the demons that are paying them rent, all of the demons that work for the company, and all the demons that come onto the grounds, all the demons that are flying over the sky space, AVANATH Communities is fully engaged in facilitating state surveillance and conspiracy to murder and kidnap an American citizen, which is demonic. Okay, and it's an exceptional threat while the demon-possessed act in concert with one whose name you know, a blood relative, who was fully exposed, as you heard that audible activity, of very malicious conduct, when she is fully a delusional psychopath, and then trying to comment, while criminally monitoring, trying to comment on the mind state of the one who's targeting. That's the ultimate gaslighting. That's called narcissistic conduct. That's in the secular. Want to be clear, I'm not going to mince words. That's Satan. That's a demon-possessed person. Highly malicious criminal conduct by the state that's stalking in helicopters. She's going to federal prison. This is P.O.C.